Hey, and welcome back to JBC English Learning Academy. My name is Laura, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to clear, confident, and natural English. If you truly love your parents, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, keep watching the video, and comment on how much you love parents. Your support truly helps this channel grow. Alright, take a deep breath. Relax, and let's begin today's session. In this first section, I want you to imagine a calm moment, a simple moment, a moment when life feels slow and peaceful, because this is where our story begins. So let me take you into a quiet morning, a soft morning, the kind of morning where the sun rises slowly, the air feels cool, and nothing seems too heavy. It is the kind of moment when you believe everything will be okay. This is the moment our character, Daniel, wakes up. He opens his eyes and feels the soft light on his face. He stretches his arms and takes a deep breath. He thinks today will be an easy day, a good day. He feels calm and peaceful, at least for now. But what Daniel does not know yet is that this day will teach him something important. This day will teach him how to understand his emotions, how to control them, and how to find peace even when life becomes difficult. And you, listening to this story, will learn English through these moments, through these feelings, and through the gentle way the story moves forward. So now, let us follow Daniel as he starts his day. Daniel gets out of bed and walks to the small window in his room. He looks outside and sees people walking to work, children going to school, and cars moving slowly on the road. He likes this morning feeling. He feels a sense of order in the world. Everything seems simple. Everything seems calm. He whispers to himself, I think today will be fine. But sometimes, life gives us surprises, and sometimes these surprises teach us more than quiet mornings can. As Daniel goes to the kitchen to make his breakfast, he hears his phone vibrate on the table. He picks it up and sees a message from his boss. The message says, Daniel, we need you to come early today. Something urgent came up. Daniel stops for a moment. The calm feeling in his chest changes. It becomes tight. It becomes a little heavy. He thinks, but I wanted a slow morning. I wanted a quiet start. And this is the first small emotional shift of the day. A tiny wave inside him. Not anger. Not fear. Just a small disappointment. But even a small feeling can grow if we do not understand it. Daniel hurries to get ready. He makes his coffee faster than usual. He puts on his shoes quickly. He tries to stay calm, but his mind is already running. He thinks, why today? Why early? What if something is wrong? This is how emotions begin. They begin with thoughts, small thoughts, simple thoughts, but thoughts that keep moving. And when thoughts move too fast, emotions follow them. Daniel walks out of his apartment and feels the air outside. It is still cool, still soft, still peaceful, but he cannot feel the peace anymore. His mind is too busy. He walks quickly to the bus stop. He stands there and checks the time again and again. The bus is late today. A few minutes late. Not a big problem, but when a person is already worried, small problems feel big. He feels a little heat rising inside him. His heart beats a little faster. He thinks, why is this bus always late when I need it? Now, this is where you and I begin learning about emotional control. Emotions do not start big. They start small. They begin with a simple trigger, a message from a boss, a late bus, a change in routine. When we understand the small beginning of an emotion, we can understand the big moment before it arrives. So let us watch Daniel closely. You will learn English, and at the same time, you will learn about emotional awareness. Daniel finally gets on the bus and sits near the window. He looks outside, but he cannot calm down. His thoughts keep moving. What if I am late? What if my boss is angry? What if something bad happened at work? This is a common emotional pattern. When we do not know something, our mind fills the empty space with fear, worry, or stress. This is human. This is normal. But this is also something we can learn to control. The bus moves slowly through the morning traffic. Daniel tries to breathe slowly, but every time he tries to relax, a new thought pulls him back into worry. He feels trapped in his own mind. But then something interesting happens. An older woman sitting next to him looks at him and smiles. She says, in a soft voice, "You look worried. Are you okay?" Daniel is surprised. He does not know this woman. He did not expect anyone to talk to him. But sometimes, a simple question can create a moment of reflection. Daniel takes a breath and says, "I just have to go to work early. I'm not ready for today, I think." The woman nods slowly. Her eyes are calm. She says, "Sometimes the day is different from what we want. But the day does not decide how we feel. We decide how we feel." Daniel hears her words, and his mind stops for a moment. He did not expect wisdom from a stranger. He did not expect comfort from someone he had never met. But her words stay in his mind. We decide how we feel. The bus continues to move forward, and Daniel begins to breathe more slowly. He begins to observe his own feelings. He realizes he is not truly angry. He is not truly afraid. He is simply uncomfortable because his morning changed. He realizes something important. The emotion he feels is not the problem. The problem is the story he tells himself about the emotion. He thinks for a moment, maybe I can handle this day. Maybe I don't have to be scared. And this moment becomes a turning point. A small realization. A lesson in emotional control. He thanks the woman before leaving the bus, and she smiles again. Her smile is warm, like sunlight. Daniel walks toward his office building, but his steps are slower now. His mind is calmer. When he enters the office, he sees his coworkers moving around quickly. Something is happening. Something unusual. His boss walks toward him with a serious face, and Daniel feels a little nervous again. But the nervousness is softer now, lighter, quieter. He can feel it, but it does not control him. His boss says, "Daniel, thank you for coming early. We have a small problem with a client. I need your help solving it." Daniel nods. He listens carefully. He realizes the situation is not as bad as he imagined. It is simply a mistake that needs to be corrected. Nothing more. He thinks to himself, "I was worrying about a problem that did not even exist." This is another lesson in emotional control. Many of our strongest emotions come from our imagination, not from reality. Our imagination creates stories that feel real. It builds fears that grow inside us. It creates pressure where there is none. But when we face reality, it is usually smaller, quieter, easier to handle. Daniel begins to work on the problem. He focuses, step by step, on finding a solution. And the more he works, the calmer he feels. He realizes that action brings peace. When the mind is busy imagining problems, it feels heavy. But when the hands are busy solving problems, the mind becomes lighter. As the morning passes, Daniel fixes the mistake. His boss looks relieved and says, "Thank you, Daniel. You saved the day." Daniel feels proud. He feels warm inside, not because of praise, but because he overcame his inner storm. He controlled his emotions when they tried to control him. He breathes deeply and slowly. The calm feeling from the morning returns. But this time, it is stronger, deeper, more meaningful. Before lunch, Daniel stands near the office window and looks outside. He sees the city. He sees people walking. He sees cars moving. The world looks normal again. But he knows something has changed inside him. He knows he learned something important about himself. He thinks back to the woman on the bus. Her words echo in his mind again and again. We decide how we feel. He realizes this is true. Very true. Emotions come, emotions go, but we can choose how we respond. We can choose how we breathe, how we think, how we move through the moment. Daniel smiles to himself. He feels grateful for the lesson the day gave him. And now, something inside him becomes clearer. A voice inside him whispers, maybe I can learn to control my emotions. Maybe I can understand myself better. And so, the story of Daniel's emotional journey begins here. A simple morning, a small challenge, a tiny moment of change. But every big transformation begins with a small moment. Every strong emotion begins with a small feeling. And every person who learns emotional control begins with a simple realization. Emotions are not enemies. They're messages. They're signals. They guide us when we listen. They grow when we ignore them. And Daniel, for the first time in a long time, begins to listen to himself. He begins to pay attention to the small waves inside him. He begins to breathe through them, understand them, and let them move without letting them take over. And as he walks toward the break room for lunch, he feels ready for the rest of the day. He feels stronger. He feels lighter. He feels like he is learning something important about himself, something he wishes he learned earlier. But life teaches us when we are ready. And today, Daniel is ready. This is only the beginning of his journey. There will be more challenges, more emotions, more lessons. In the next sections, you will follow Daniel as he faces deeper emotional storms, moments that test his patience, his confidence, and his understanding. But step by step, through each moment, he will learn how to calm his mind and guide his feelings. And as you listen to this story, you will learn the language of emotions in English, the gentle way to talk about your inner world, and the simple words that express strong feelings. For now, take a deep breath with Daniel. Feel the calm returning. Feel the world slowing down. And get ready for the next part of the journey. Daniel leaves the break room after lunch feeling calm, but as he walks back to his desk, he notices something small, something simple, something so ordinary that most people ignore it, yet sometimes the smallest things carry the strongest emotional weight. He sees a message on his phone from his younger sister, Mia. At first, he smiles because he loves her very much, and her messages always bring warmth into his day. But when he opens the message, the feeling in his chest starts to change. Mia writes, "Daniel, can we talk later? I had a difficult morning." She adds a sad face emoji at the end. A very small thing. A tiny symbol. But inside Daniel, a new wave begins to rise. He feels concern. He feels worry. His peaceful afternoon feels a little heavier now, because when we care about someone deeply, their emotions affect our emotions. He tries to stay focused on his work, but his mind keeps returning to the message. He wonders, is she okay? Did something bad happen? Does she need help? And slowly, his calm feeling begins to fade again. This is something very important to understand about emotional control. Even when we learn to manage our own emotions, the emotions of others can still enter our minds, our hearts, our space. Daniel cares about his sister, so it is natural for him to feel worried. Caring is not a problem. Emotion is not a problem. The problem begins when emotion takes over our thoughts, our actions, our breath. Daniel tries to work, but every few minutes, he checks his phone again. He wants to know if Mia wrote something else. She did not. The silence makes him feel even more uneasy. Silence often speaks louder than words. Silence can make the mind create stories that may not be true. But Daniel has not learned this lesson yet. As the afternoon continues, Daniel finishes his tasks, but he does them with half of his attention. His mind is in two places at once, the office and his sister's world. When his workday ends, he leaves quickly, almost running to the bus stop. He wants to call Mia, but she earlier asked to talk later, and he does not want to disturb her if she is not ready. So he waits. Waiting is one of the hardest emotional tasks for any person. When you wait, you do not know. When you do not know, the mind fills the empty space with worry. Daniel sits on the bus again, looking out of the window, but the city looks different today. The sky, which was bright and gentle in the morning, feels heavier now. Clouds cover the sunlight. The streets look colder, more distant. But Daniel knows the world has not changed, only his feelings have. Emotions can change how we see the world. When we feel light inside, the world feels bright. When we feel heavy inside, the world feels dark. He reaches home and puts his bag on the table. He sits on the couch, holding his phone in his hands. The room is quiet. Too quiet. He wants to distract himself with music or TV, but his mind is too full. He sighs deeply. And then, finally, his phone vibrates. It is Mia. She writes, "Can you call me now?" Daniel does not wait a second. He presses the call button immediately. When she answers, her voice sounds small, shaky, like she has been crying. Daniel feels a rush of emotion through his chest: concern, love, protectiveness, even fear. He says softly, "Mia, what happened?" "I'm here." There is a long pause before she speaks, and Daniel feels his heart beating faster with each second. Then she finally says, "I failed my exam today." The words are simple, but they land heavily inside Daniel. He knows how hard Mia studied. He knows how much she wanted to pass. He knows how much pressure she puts on herself. He feels her sadness through the phone, like it is his own. This is another emotional truth. Sometimes our emotions come from others, not from ourselves. Daniel speaks gently, "It's okay, Mia. We all fail sometimes. It doesn't mean you are not smart. It just means today was hard." But Mia's voice cracks as she says, "I feel like I disappointed everyone." Daniel closes his eyes for a moment. He knows this feeling very well. He has felt it many times in his own life. That heavy feeling of not being good enough. That painful feeling of letting others down. That silent fear that maybe you are not as strong as you want to be. Daniel takes a slow breath. He remembers the woman from the bus. Her calm voice. Her wise words. We decide how we feel. But now, talking to his sister, Daniel understands something new. Other people cannot decide their feelings easily. Sometimes they need someone to guide them, someone to hold space for them, someone who listens with patience and love. So Daniel speaks slowly, softly, almost like a teacher. "Mia, you did your best. And failing does not make you weak. Failing teaches you how to grow. You are still learning. You are still becoming stronger." He hears her breathing slowly, trying to calm down. He knows she is listening. He knows she is hurting. But he also knows she can heal. They talk for a long time. Daniel listens to her worries, her fears, her frustration. Sometimes she cries. Sometimes she laughs softly through her tears. Daniel talks calmly, gently, offering comfort without judgment. He realizes something important during this conversation. Controlling his own emotions helps him help others. If he were stressed, angry, or impatient right now, he would not be able to support his sister. Emotional control is not only for ourselves. It is also for the people we love. After nearly an hour, Mia finally says, in a softer voice, "Thank you, Daniel. I feel a little better now. I just needed to talk." Daniel smiles, even though she cannot see him. "I'm always here," he says. Always. When they end the call, Daniel places his phone on the table and leans back on the couch. The room feels different now. It feels warm again. He feels tired, but in a peaceful way. Helping someone takes emotional energy, but it also gives emotional meaning. He realizes that supporting his sister helped him understand his own emotions more clearly. He stands up and walks to the window. The sky is dark now, but the city lights glow softly like tiny stars. Daniel watches them for a long moment. He thinks about the day, the message from his boss, the woman on the bus, the problem at work, the call with Mia. He sees that this day was full of emotional movements, from calm to stress, from worry to relief, from heaviness to meaning. And he realizes something important. Emotions change always. They rise, they fall, they move like waves. No emotion is permanent. Not fear, not stress, not sadness, not even happiness. Everything moves. Everything changes. Daniel feels grateful for this understanding. He sits down again and closes his eyes. He begins to breathe slowly, the way he saw people do in videos about mindfulness. He breathes in for 4 seconds. He breathes out for 4 seconds. He feels his body relax. He feels his mind soften. In this quiet breathing moment, he discovers a new kind of emotional control, the control that comes from awareness, from presence, from simply being with himself. He realizes that emotions do not disappear when we ignore them. Emotions disappear when we sit with them, understand them, and let them pass naturally. As he breathes, he begins to think about tomorrow. He wonders how he will face new emotional moments. He wonders if he will be able to stay calm the way he stayed calm today. And then he smiles to himself. He knows tomorrow will bring new challenges. Life always brings new challenges. But he also knows something else. Every emotional moment is a chance to grow, a chance to understand, a chance to transform. He thinks again of the phrase that has followed him all day, "We decide how we feel." And now he adds something new to it in his mind. We decide how we respond. Daniel opens his eyes. He stands up and turns off the lights. He gets ready for bed, feeling tired but peaceful. And as he lies down, he whispers to himself, "Today taught me something. Tomorrow will teach me more." And with that thought, he closes his eyes and falls into a calm, gentle sleep, ready for the next part of his journey. This is where section 2 ends, but Daniel's emotional journey is only beginning. In the next section, you will see him face a new type of emotional challenge, a challenge that tests his patience, his confidence, and his ability to stay calm when things around him move too fast. For now, rest with him, breathe with him, and get ready for the next step. Daniel wakes up the next morning feeling calm, but also a little tired. Yesterday was an emotional day, full of small storms and quiet lessons. He stretches, takes a long breath, and sits up slowly. His room is still dark, but the sky outside is turning a soft blue. He enjoys mornings like this because they feel clean and new, like a fresh page in a notebook. But sometimes, even a new day can move faster than we expect. Sometimes a day can begin slowly and suddenly become too heavy, too busy, too fast. Today will be one of those days for Daniel, a day that teaches him what emotional control really means. He gets dressed, makes his simple breakfast, and checks his phone. There are no urgent messages this time, no surprises, no storms waiting for him. He feels relieved. He takes a sip of warm tea and thinks, maybe today will be easier. He steps outside into the cool morning air and begins walking toward the bus stop. The sun is rising behind the buildings, creating long shadows on the street. Daniel walks slowly, enjoying the quiet, but something inside him feels a little unsettled. Not worry, not stress. Just a soft feeling, like a whisper inside him saying, stay ready. When he arrives at the bus stop, he sees many people waiting. More than usual. Some look annoyed. Some look tired. Some keep checking their phones. Daniel thinks, maybe the bus is late again. And he is right. The bus is very late. But this time, it is not a small delay. It is a long one. 10 minutes pass. Then 15. Then 20. People begin complaining quietly. Some shake their heads. Some sigh loudly. Daniel feels the atmosphere changing around him. Emotions always move through groups of people like invisible wind. When many people feel frustrated at the same time, the air becomes heavy. Daniel feels this heaviness entering him slowly. He tries to stay calm, but impatience grows inside him. He looks at the road again and again, hoping to see the bus appear. But nothing comes. Finally, after almost 30 minutes, the bus arrives. People rush toward the doors. Some push. Some try to get in first. Daniel steps back and lets others go. He does not want to fight for space. He does not want to add his emotion to the growing storm around him. When he finally gets on the bus, it is crowded. Too crowded. People stand shoulder to shoulder. There is barely any air to move. Daniel holds the metal bar near the door and tries to breathe slowly, but the crowded space makes him feel trapped. His chest tightens a little. His breath becomes shorter. This is not fear, but discomfort. Strong discomfort. And discomfort is one of the most difficult emotions to control because it feels physical as well as mental. As the bus moves forward, people begin talking loudly. A man near Daniel argues on the phone. A woman complains to her friend about being late. A child cries in the back. The bus feels hot. No windows are open. Daniel closes his eyes for a moment, trying to calm himself, but the noise around him pushes into his mind like waves. He feels irritation growing inside him, a quick, sharp emotion that arrives suddenly and heavily. Irritation is one of the fastest emotions. It comes quickly, like a flash. It surprises us. And if we do not control it fast, it turns into anger. Daniel takes a deep breath, but the air feels warm and stale. He tries again. The second breath is a little easier. He remembers the woman from the bus yesterday. Her calm eyes. Her gentle voice. Her words. We decide how we feel. He holds on to that sentence like a handrail. He repeats it in his mind. I decide how I feel. He focuses on his breath. One slow inhale. One slow exhale. The irritation softens, just a little, but enough for him to think more clearly. Finally, after a long ride, the bus reaches his stop. Daniel steps off quickly, feeling the cool air touch his face. He closes his eyes for a moment and lets the fresh air fill his lungs. It feels like freedom after being in a crowded box. He begins walking to his office, but he knows he already used some of his emotional energy for the day, and the day has only just started. When he enters the office, everything looks normal at first. People typing, phones ringing, printers humming. But then Daniel sees his boss standing near his desk with a serious expression. Daniel feels a sudden drop in his stomach. A familiar emotional reaction, fear mixed with pressure. His boss says, "Daniel, can we talk for a moment?" Daniel nods and follows him to a small meeting room. The boss closes the door gently and sits down. Daniel sits across from him. The room is quiet, too quiet. His boss clears his throat and says, "Daniel, we have a new project, and we need someone to lead the communication part. I want you to take it." Daniel is surprised. He did not expect this. His mind begins to race. Me? Why me? Am I ready? What if I fail? What if I make mistakes? His thoughts speed up, faster and faster, like a train. And when thoughts start running, emotions chase them. He feels pressure rising, like a weight on his chest. But his boss continues, "The project is important. We need someone who stays calm under stress. You showed that yesterday." Daniel remembers yesterday's situation, solving the problem, staying calm, supporting his sister later. He realizes something. His boss noticed his calm behavior. People notice emotional control even when we think they do not. Still, Daniel feels nervous. He wants to say yes, but fear holds his tongue. Fear of failing. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of being too slow, too weak, too inexperienced. Many people feel this fear when they face responsibility. Daniel is no different. His boss waits patiently, watching him quietly. Daniel takes a breath, a slow breath, and says, "I will try my best." His voice shakes a little, but it is honest. His boss smiles gently. "I trust you," he says. Those 3 words change something inside Daniel. They give him strength. They give him courage. They give him belief. Emotional control does not mean feeling strong all the time. It means moving forward even when we feel unsure. The next few hours move quickly. Daniel begins working on the project. He meets with the team. He reads instructions. He makes lists. But the faster he works, the more stressed he feels. The project has many details, many deadlines, many expectations. His mind becomes full again, like a glass overflowing with water. He tries to stay calm, but every time he solves one problem, another appears. Every time he finishes one task, 3 more arrive. His heart begins to beat faster. He feels heat in his face. His hands shake slightly. Stress is building, rising, pushing him. During lunch, he sits alone at a table in the break room. He plays with his food more than he eats it. His thoughts are loud. Too loud. He whispers to himself, "I can't do all this. This is too much. This day is moving too fast." And then he feels something else rising, frustration with himself. He thinks he should be stronger, calmer, more confident. Many people feel this when stress grows too quickly. They blame themselves. But blaming yourself never brings calm. Daniel puts his fork down and closes his eyes. He takes a slow breath, then another. He tells himself softly, it's okay to feel stressed. It's okay to feel slow. It's okay to feel confused. Sometimes, emotional control begins not with strength, but with acceptance. When he opens his eyes again, the world feels a little softer. He decides to take a short walk outside before going back to work. The air is cool again, and the movement helps clear his mind. He walks slowly along the sidewalk, watching people pass by. Some look busy. Some look relaxed. Some look lost in their own thoughts. Daniel realizes that everyone carries something inside: stress, dreams, fears, hopes, worries. Everyone is fighting a quiet battle. When he returns to the office, he feels slightly lighter. He begins working again, but this time he works differently. Instead of panicking about all tasks at once, he focuses on one small step at a time. One email, one message, one meeting, one decision. He begins to feel a rhythm forming. And slowly, very slowly, the stress begins to loosen its grip. By the end of the day, Daniel is tired but proud. He did not finish everything, but he did not break. He did not panic. He did not give up. He controlled the emotional storm inside him, even when the day felt too fast, too loud, too heavy. As he walks home, the evening sky is painted in soft orange colors. He watches a bird flying slowly above the buildings. He feels the cool air on his skin. He thinks about the day, the late bus, the crowded ride, the unexpected responsibility, the pressure, the fear, the tiny moments of calm, the small victories. He realizes something important. Emotional control is not about having a perfect day. It is about guiding yourself through an imperfect one. He reaches home and changes into comfortable clothes. He makes a simple dinner and sits by the window. As he eats, he speaks softly to himself, almost like a narrator telling his own story. The day moved fast, but I moved with it. And for the first time, he feels proud of not being perfect. He feels proud of being human. This is where section 3 ends. Daniel has faced speed, pressure, and fear, and he has learned how to slow his inner world even when the outer world does not slow down. In the next section, he will face a more personal emotional storm, one that tests his heart, not just his mind. And from that experience, he will learn an even deeper kind of emotional control. Daniel wakes up the next morning feeling different, not the calm he felt before, not the stress he felt yesterday, but something in between. Something soft, something warm, but also something uncertain. It is strange how emotions can change the way we wake up. Some mornings feel light. Some mornings feel heavy. Some mornings feel like a question waiting for an answer. This morning, Daniel feels the question before he even gets out of bed. He stares at the ceiling for a moment, trying to understand it. He tells himself, today will be okay, but he knows today will not be a simple day. Today will bring a more personal emotional storm, one that comes not from work, not from stress, not from the world, but from the heart. He gets ready slowly. He moves through his morning routine with careful steps. He brushes his teeth, makes his tea, checks his messages. One message catches his eye immediately. It is from Lily, his friend, someone special, someone he cares about more than he easily admits. The moment he sees her name on the screen, something inside his chest tightens. Not pain, not fear, something else. A feeling that mixes excitement and anxiety at the same time. A feeling many people know very well. He opens the message. It says, Daniel, can we meet after work today? I need to talk to you. Only that. 12 simple words. But the space between those words feels huge. Too huge. Daniel stares at the message for a long time. He tries to understand the tone, the meaning, the reason. His heart begins beating faster. His mind begins asking questions. What does she want to talk about? Is she upset? Did something happen? Is something wrong? These questions rise quickly, like bubbles in boiling water. They do not stop. They do not slow down. Daniel takes a deep breath and tries to answer with a calm tone. He writes, "Of course." "What time?" She replies almost immediately after you finish work. "Same place as usual." That means the small cafe they always meet at. The cafe with warm lights and soft music. The place where many of their memories were created. The place where they laughed together, talked about dreams together, shared fears together. The place that feels safe and yet, today, also feels heavy. Daniel puts his phone down and tries to finish breakfast, but his hands are a little shaky. He realizes something important. Emotional control becomes more difficult when the emotion is personal. When the emotion comes from the heart, it does not just stay in the mind, it enters the breath, the body, the pulse. It changes everything. He whispers to himself, "Stay calm, Daniel. Just stay calm." But his voice is soft and unsure. The day moves slowly at first. He takes the bus, goes to work, sits at his desk, begins his tasks. But today he is not fully present. His mind returns to Lily again and again. Every hour, every quiet moment, every pause. He thinks about the first time they met at the office. He thinks about how she smiled at him when they worked on a project together. He thinks about the time she told him, "You're someone I trust." That sentence stayed with him for weeks. It still does. But trust also creates fear, fear of losing it, fear of misunderstanding, fear of disappointing. And today, that fear sits quietly in Daniel's chest like a small stone. Not heavy enough to hurt, but heavy enough to remind him it is there. In the afternoon, while he is working on his new project, his phone vibrates again. He looks at the screen. It is a message from Lily. "See you at 6. Just 3 words. But Daniel feels another wave inside him. His breath quickens. His hands become a little cold. Why does emotion create such a physical reaction? Because when a person matters to us, their words carry weight, their silence carries meaning, their presence shapes our inner weather. The hours pass slowly, like a river moving through thick fog. Daniel finishes his work with great effort. He tries to focus, but his heart keeps interrupting his mind. When the clock finally reaches 6, he stands up from his desk, grabs his jacket, and walks toward the exit. His steps are steady, but inside, everything feels shaky. He walks to the cafe with slow steps, each one filled with quiet hope and quiet fear. The cafe door rings softly as he enters. The smell of coffee and warm pastries fills the air. Soft music plays in the background. The lights are dim and golden. It is a peaceful place, but today Daniel does not feel peace. He sees Lily sitting at their usual table near the window. She looks calm, but her hands are folded tightly in front of her, a sign that she is nervous. Daniel sits down across from her. He smiles gently, but she does not smile back the way she usually does. Something is different. He says softly, "Are you okay?" Lily nods, but she takes a slow breath before speaking. "Daniel," she begins, "I want to say something important. And I hope you understand." Those words hit Daniel like a wave. His heart beats louder. He tries to keep his face calm, his breath slow, but inside him everything speeds up. She continues, "I got a job offer. In another city." Daniel feels the world shift slightly, like the ground moved under his feet. He did not expect this. He did not imagine this. He asked himself all day what she wanted to talk about, but he never thought of this possibility. Lily looks down at her hands. It's a good opportunity. Something I've wanted for a long time. But it means I might leave soon. Daniel feels two emotions rise at the same time, happiness for her, because he knows she worked hard for this chance, and sadness for himself, because if she leaves, something important in his life will change. He tries to speak, but his voice is soft, almost fragile. When would you leave? Next month, she replies, still looking down. Daniel feels his breath shake. 1 month. Only 1 month before she is gone. The cafe feels quiet. Too quiet. The music feels distant. The warm lights feel dimmer. Emotional moments like this make the world feel smaller around us, like everything closes in. Lily finally lifts her eyes and looks at him. Her eyes are soft, but filled with worry. I don't want you to be upset, she says. I didn't want to hide it. I wanted to tell you myself. Daniel nods slowly. He understands. But understanding does not remove emotion. Feelings come even when logic is clear. He feels a pain in his chest, not sharp, but deep. A soft kind of sadness. He takes a slow breath and speaks carefully, I'm happy for you. Truly. You deserve good things. And he means it. He wants her dreams to grow. He wants her life to be full. But at the same time, he feels something heavy sinking inside him, the fear of losing someone important. Lily watches him closely. You don't have to pretend to be okay, she says gently. You can tell me how you feel. Daniel stays silent for a moment. He looks out the window. Cars pass by. People walk. The world continues, as always. But inside him, everything feels still. Finally he speaks, I don't want you to go. But I know you have to. He pauses, searching for the right words. I care about you. A lot. More than I thought. When he says this, he feels exposed, vulnerable, open. But emotional control does not mean hiding emotion. It means expressing emotion with clarity instead of fear. Lily's eyes soften. She reaches across the table and gently touches his hand. It is a simple gesture, but it carries warmth, sincerity, and quiet emotion. I care about you too, she says. That's why this is hard for me. Daniel feels a mixture of relief and sadness. Her words comfort him, but they also remind him that time is short. He wants to hold on to the moment, freeze it, keep it from changing. But life moves forward always. Emotional control is not about stopping the world. It is about understanding how to move with it. They talk for a long time. About her new job, her plans, her fears. Daniel listens. He supports her. He tries to stay strong. But inside, he fights a silent storm. A storm of attachment. A storm of love. A storm of loss. And yet, he does not let the storm break him. He breathes through it. He stays present. He stays honest. This is a new kind of control, not control over emotion, but control within emotion. When they leave the cafe, the sky is dark. Streetlights shine softly. They stand outside for a moment, silent. Lily finally says, Thank you for understanding. It means a lot. Daniel smiles, a small, real smile. Just promise me something, he says. Promise me you will tell me everything about the new city. About your new life. She laughs softly, a sound that warms him. Of course, she says. I will. They say goodbye, and she walks away slowly. Daniel watches her until she turns the corner and disappears. When she is gone, he feels the sadness return, but this time it feels different. Softer. More peaceful. because he faced it with honesty. He did not run from it. He did not hide from it. He let the emotion move through him instead of over him. He walks home with quiet steps. The night feels cool. The air feels fresh. The sadness is still there, but it is not heavy. It is gentle, like a small wave in the heart. Emotional control does not remove pain, it softens it. It gives pain space to breathe. It teaches us to hold sadness without letting it drown us. When Daniel reaches home, he sits on his bed and takes a deep breath. He whispers to himself, "My heart is strong. I can feel deeply and still stay calm." And as he lies down, the sadness slowly becomes peace. This is the end of section 4. Daniel has faced an emotional storm from the heart, love, fear, sadness, attachment, and learned to stay steady within it. In the next section, he will move toward transformation, clarity, and inner strength as his emotional journey reaches its final chapter. The next morning, Daniel wakes up before his alarm. The room is quiet, the air is cool, and for a long moment he simply lies there, staring at the soft morning light entering through the curtains. His body feels heavy, but not in a painful way. It feels like the kind of heaviness that comes after a long journey, a journey not on a map, but inside the heart. Yesterday was difficult. Yesterday touched parts of him he was not ready to touch. But today he feels something new, something soft, something peaceful, something calm. It is not happiness. Not exactly. It is not sadness either. It is a quiet balance, like water settling after being shaken. He sits up slowly and places his feet on the floor. As he stands, he feels a new kind of strength in him, not physical strength, but emotional strength. A kind of strength that comes from understanding, from accepting, from growing. He goes to the kitchen, makes his tea, and sips it in silence. The flavor feels warm, familiar, safe. He looks at his phone but sees no new messages. For a moment, he wonders if Lily is awake yet, but then he closes his eyes and reminds himself, emotional control is also learning to give space, space to yourself, space to others, space to the moment. As he gets ready for work, he feels a gentle sense of clarity, a feeling that tells him something inside you changed. But he does not fully understand what changed yet. He only knows he feels different, stronger, more aware. He steps outside into the soft morning light, and the world looks calm today. Cars move slowly. People walk with quiet steps. The sky is clear with no sign of clouds. It feels like the whole world has taken a slow breath with him. When he arrives at the bus stop, he sees the bus arriving right on time. He smiles quietly. Some mornings feel like a small gift. He gets on the bus and finds an empty seat near the window. As the bus moves forward, he watches the city pass by, the stores opening, the trees moving gently in the wind, the people crossing the street. He feels connected to everything, like he is part of a larger story. But his mind is not racing today. His heart is quiet. His emotions are calm. He thinks about Lily, and instead of sadness, he feels warmth. He wants her to grow. He wants her to succeed. And he realizes something important. Love is not about holding someone close. Love is also about letting someone move forward. Emotional control is not closing your heart. It is guiding your heart, so it does not break you when life changes. When the bus reaches his stop, Daniel steps off and walks to his office. He feels light, focused, present. At work, people greet him with smiles. He smiles back, feeling grounded. His boss calls him into the office again, but this time, Daniel does not feel nervous. He feels ready. His boss says, "Daniel, I saw your work yesterday. You handled everything with patience and clarity. You're doing well." Daniel nods with confidence, not arrogance. Confidence does not need to be loud. It only needs to be real. His boss gives him new instructions for the project, and Daniel listens carefully. He feels a strong calmness inside him, a calmness he did not have 2 days ago. He returns to his desk and begins working. For hours, he focuses deeply, moving through tasks with steady hands and a quiet mind. Stress appears sometimes, but when it appears, he simply breathes and lets it pass. He does not fight it. He does not run from it. He lets it move naturally. This is the purest form of emotional control, not forcing calm, but allowing calm. Around lunchtime, Daniel walks outside to get a little fresh air. The sun is bright today, and the wind feels soft on his face. He stands near a small tree and watches people pass by. Some look stressed. Some look tired. Some look lost in their thoughts, just like he used to be. He wonders how many people are carrying heavy emotions that no one sees. He wonders how many people are fighting silent battles inside their minds. He feels compassion, a warm, gentle compassion. As he stands there, he suddenly remembers something important. A small moment that started this whole emotional journey, the woman on the bus. Her calm face. Her wise words. We decide how we feel. At the time, it sounded simple. Too simple. But now, after everything he has gone through, he finally understands what she meant. We do not control what happens to us. We do not control other people. We do not control the world. But we can guide our response. We can choose our breath. We can choose our thoughts. We can choose our inner peace. Daniel whispers softly to himself, "I decide how I feel." And for the first time, he believes it completely. He returns to work feeling renewed. The afternoon continues peacefully. He finishes tasks, sends messages, helps teammates. When the workday ends, he packs his things and heads toward the exit. But instead of going straight home, he decides to take a longer walk. Not because he is sad, but because he wants to reflect. He wants to understand the journey of the last few days. He walks through the city slowly, watching the evening sky turn orange and pink. He sees families at cafes, couples walking hand in hand, children laughing as they run along the sidewalk. He listens to the soft sounds of the city, footsteps, quiet conversations, the distant hum of traffic. Everything feels alive. Everything feels connected. As he walks, his mind travels back through the emotional moments he experienced. The worry about his boss. The frustration with the bus. The pressure of the project. The pain of Lily's news. And he realizes something important. Every emotion, even the difficult ones, taught him something. Worry taught him awareness. Frustration taught him patience. Pressure taught him strength. Sadness taught him love. All emotions, even the uncomfortable ones, carried lessons. They were not enemies. They were teachers. He sits on a bench near a small park and takes a deep breath. He lets the air fill his lungs slowly. He feels the calmness inside him grow stronger. He whispers, "I'm learning. I'm changing." He closes his eyes and listens to the gentle sounds of nature around him, the leaves moving softly in the wind, the birds resting in the trees, the distant sound of children playing. Everything feels peaceful. After a while, he gets up and continues walking. As he reaches his apartment, he sees a message on his phone. It is from Lily. She writes, "Thank you for being so understanding yesterday. I feel better today. I hope you do too." Daniel smiles. Her message feels warm, not heavy. He writes back, "I'm okay. And I'm happy for you. You'll do great things." She replies with a small heart emoji. And just like that, Daniel feels a soft sense of closure, not an ending, but a calm acceptance. He goes inside, changes into comfortable clothes, and sits by the window with a cup of tea. The night sky is dark now, filled with stars. The world is quiet. And inside him, everything feels clear. He thinks about emotional control again, what it means, how it feels, how it grows. He realizes emotional control is not about never feeling. It is not about being cold. It is not about being perfect. Emotional control is about understanding your emotions so deeply that they no longer scare you. It is about knowing that sadness will come and go. It is about knowing that fear will rise and fall. It is about knowing that love will change and grow. It is about knowing that no emotion is permanent. It is about learning to breathe even when your heart feels heavy. It is about learning to pause even when your mind is fast. It is about learning to stay open even when life changes. This understanding fills Daniel with warmth. He leans back in his chair and lets out a long, peaceful breath. His journey is not over. Emotional journeys never truly end, but he has reached a new chapter. A stronger chapter. A wiser chapter. And he feels ready for whatever comes next. He finishes his tea, turns off the lights, and sits on the edge of his bed. Before he lies down, he whispers to himself the words that guided him through this journey. "I decide how I feel." And then he adds something new, something he learned through experience, "and I choose peace." He climbs into bed, closes his eyes, and lets the calmness surround him. The world outside continues to move, but inside, everything is still. Everything is soft. Everything is peaceful. And so Daniel's story, the story of learning emotional control through gentle, quiet moments, settles into a calm ending. Not a loud ending. Not a dramatic ending. But a peaceful ending. The kind of ending that feels like a soft breath after a long day. Nothing dramatic changed outside him, but everything changed inside him. And that is the true meaning of emotional growth. This is the end of Section 5 and the end of Daniel's emotional journey, a journey of fear, pressure, sadness, clarity, growth, and calm. Thank you so much for joining today's lesson here at JBC English Learning Academy. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me what you want to learn next. Your support helps the channel grow and helps me create more lessons for you. Take care, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next class.